The auctioneer's gavel cracked like a whip, shattering the humid air of the dusty town square. Eliza stood on the wooden platform, her wrists bound with coarse rope, her heart hammering so fiercely she thought it might burst. The crowd's murmurs slithered around her, men in sweat-stained hats, women clutching shawls, all staring at the 19-year-old girl offered up like livestock. Her father's gambling debts had led to this moment, a desperate deal to save his skin. Sold to settle a debt. The words burned in her mind, each one a betrayal sharper than the last. Eliza's eyes darted across the crowd, searching for a shred of mercy, but found only curiosity and greed. Her father was nowhere in sight. Cowardice had driven him to abandon her to this fate. The auctioneer's voice boomed, listing her like a prized mare, strong, healthy, good for work or otherwise. Her stomach churned. She wanted to scream, to run, but her legs felt like lead, and the rope bit into her skin. Then, a lone hand rose from the back of the crowd. A man, tall and broad-shouldered, stepped forward. His face was shadowed by a worn Stetson, his expression unreadable. 500, he said, voice low but firm. The crowd hushed. No one bid higher. The man was Caleb Morrow, a cowboy known for keeping to himself, his ranch a half-day's ride from town. Whispers followed him as he paid the auctioneer and untied Eliza's ropes with hands rough as oak bark but gentle in their touch. He didn't speak as he led her to his horse, didn't leer or gloat. He simply gestured for her to climb up behind him. Eliza's legs trembled as she obeyed, her mind racing with fear of what awaited her. She'd heard stories of men who bought women, none of them kind. Yet Caleb's silence was different, heavy with something she couldn't name. The ride to his ranch was long, the sun dipping low, painting the plains in shades of gold and crimson. Eliza clung to the saddle, her thoughts a storm of dread and defiance. She wouldn't be a prisoner forever. She'd find a way out, no matter what this man intended. When they reached the ranch, a modest spread of weathered fences and grazing cattle, Caleb finally spoke. You'll have a room. Food. Work, if you want it. I don't expect anything else. His words were clipped, as if speech was a chore. Eliza stared, unsure whether to trust him. Men lied. Her father had proven that. The first challenge came quickly, trust. Eliza had none left. Her father's betrayal had carved a wound too deep, and Caleb's quiet demeanor felt like a trap. She watched him like a hawk, expecting cruelty behind every gesture. He gave her a small room with a cot and a quilt, brought her meals of bread and stew, and asked her to help with chores, mending fences, tending horses. But she kept her distance, her words sharp when she spoke at all. Caleb didn't push. He worked alongside her, his hands steady as he fixed a broken gate or shoot a horse, his silence a wall she couldn't breach. Days turned to weeks, and Eliza's fear began to shift. Caleb never raised a hand or a voice. He didn't lock her in, didn't demand anything beyond her help with the ranch. But the isolation of the plains was its own challenge. The vast, empty land mirrored the hollow ache in her chest. She missed her mother, long dead, and the life she'd once dreamed of, a small shop, maybe, where she'd sell embroidered linens. Those dreams felt childish now, buried under the weight of her father's debt. At night, she'd sit by her window, staring at the stars, wondering if she'd ever feel whole again. One evening, as a storm rolled in, Eliza found Caleb in the barn, soothing a spooked horse. Lightning flashed, illuminating his face, rugged, lined with years of sun and sorrow. She asked, voice barely above a whisper, "Why'd you buy me?" Caleb didn't look at her, just kept stroking the horse's flank. "Saw a girl who didn't deserve to be caged," he said. "Figured I could give you a chance." His words hit like a gust of wind, stirring something in her. Not trust, not yet, but a flicker of hope. The second challenge was the ranch itself. It was failing. Caleb's cattle were thinning, the market prices dropping, and a drought had scorched the grazing land. Eliza saw the worry in his tight jaw, the way he pored over ledgers by lamplight. She could have stayed silent, kept her head down. But something in her stirred, a need to repay the man who'd given her a roof instead of chains. She began suggesting small changes, rotating the grazing fields, repairing the well to save water. Caleb listened, his nod slow but thoughtful. Together, they worked from dawn to dusk, their hands blistered, their clothes soaked with sweat. The ranch began to stabilize, but the work was grueling, and Eliza's past kept clawing at her. Nightmares of the auction block woke her, gasping, her heart pounding with the fear that this fragile safety could vanish. The third challenge was the town. Word spread that Caleb had bought a girl, and the whispers turned vicious. When Eliza rode into town with him for supplies, people stared, some with pity, others with judgment. A shopkeeper's wife spat at her feet, muttering, "No better than a kept woman." Eliza's cheeks burned, but Caleb stepped between them, his voice low and dangerous. "She's worth more than your gossip." The ride back was silent, but Eliza felt a shift. Caleb wasn't just her protector, he was her ally. Winter brought the hardest challenge yet. A blizzard swept through, killing half the herd. Caleb's face grew hollow, his eyes distant. Eliza found him one night by the fire, staring at a faded photograph of a woman with kind eyes. "My sister," he said, unprompted. "She was sold, too. Never got her back." The confession cracked something open in Eliza. She saw the weight Caleb carried, the reason he'd saved her. He wasn't just a quiet cowboy, he was a man haunted by loss, trying to right a wrong he couldn't undo. Their bond grew, not through grand gestures but small ones: shared coffee at dawn, a laugh when a calf tripped over its own legs. Eliza began to see the ranch as home, Caleb as family. But the final challenge loomed: her father. He showed up one spring day, reeking of whiskey, demanding money now that the ranch was turning a profit. "You owe me," he slurred, grabbing her arm. Eliza froze, the old fear flooding back. Before she could speak, Caleb was there, his hand on her father's wrist, twisting it until he let go. "She owes you nothing," Caleb said, voice like steel. Her father fled, tail between his legs, and Eliza realized she was finally free, not just from him, but from the shame that had chained her. Months later, the ranch thrived. Eliza stood on the porch, watching Caleb lead a new herd to pasture. He'd given her more than freedom, he'd given her a purpose, a place to belong. She'd started embroidering again, her linen selling in town, her dreams no longer childish but real. The townsfolk's whispers had faded, replaced by respect. Eliza wasn't the girl from the auction block anymore. She was a woman who'd rebuilt her life, stitch by stitch, side by side with a man who'd seen her worth when she couldn't. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of hope, Eliza knew she'd never forget the auctioneer's gabble or the fear of that day. But she also knew she'd never let it define her. She'd been sold to settle a debt, but Caleb had given her something greater, the strength to claim her own story. And in that quiet cowboy's silence, she'd found a love, not the loud, burning kind, but the steady, enduring sort that grows in shared silences and mended fences.